Good quality sleep is one of the pillars of brain health and one of the most important modifiable risk factors to prevent what we call neurodegeneration. During sleep, the activity that is in charge of clearing byproducts of brain metabolism works at its peak. So if your sleep is disrupted, if you have no good quality sleep, that process is going to be affected. And over the years, that can lead to problems, including the development of dementia. I am Dr. Jose Fernando Ramirez, a pulmonary critical care and sleep physician, and today I want you to dive in how these processes work. So it was not well understood how the brain will clear these products of metabolism until 2013, when a researcher in the University of Rochester discovered what she called the glial system. So the glial stands for glial cells. These cells are the ones that are most in charge of activating this cleaning mechanism. There was no lymphatic system on the brain, but she found that these cells were in charge of taking care of this cleaning process. And it's quite interesting what happens when we sleep. The spaces between the cells, the brain cells, the neurons, these spaces expand. Think of this as a little aqueduct that allows cerebrospinal fluid to flush these products away. And this includes proteins that are called beta amyloid and tau protein. If you sleep poorly, the system is going to underperform because we need deep sleep for the system to work at its best. Specifically, there's a sleep period called deep sleep, delta sleep, which is part of our non-REM cycles, and the lymphatic system function peaks at this time of the night. As you age, you start losing this, but there are many daily factors that can affect the quality of deep sleep. I will give you some examples. Alcohol might help you fall asleep faster, but as the effect of alcohol wears out, then you start having a lot of sleep fragmentation, and that decreases the amount of deep sleep. Many common sleep medications that are designed to treat insomnia are linked to decrease on the amount of delta or slow sleep. And one of the most under-recognized conditions is also obstructive sleep apnea, which is extremely destructive for this process that I just described, because you lose the amount of deep sleep and there's a lot of sleep fragmentation. And this is something that is hidden in plain sight. The neurologists are seeing patients with cognitive decline, concerns about memory problems. They should be asking about how's the sleep quality. The psychiatrist treating the depression, the anxiety, the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder too. Because, after a bad night's sleep, you cannot focus, you cannot concentrate, you feel irritated. And that is linked to this sleep deprivation. Same applies for the cardiologists that are in charge of treating complex cardiac disorders. We know that poor quality sleep, specifically with sleep apnea, increases your risk of cardiovascular disease. And I have explained this in more detail in some of my prior videos. So what to do with this information? Well, give sleep the priority it deserves. Protect your sleep the best way you can. And that includes sleep as much as you need. And it doesn't have to be 8 hours. There are some of us, can work and get by with less. But for the most part, aim for at least 7 or 8 hours of good quality sleep. Keep your room cold, keep your environment quiet, and give your brain time to unwind before going to bedtime. Prioritize the quality and the length of your sleep. The second thing is if you are snoring and you wake up tired, you wake up to urinate at night, then you might have something called obstructive sleep apnea. Talk to your doctor about it. It's very simple to screen you and treat you for sleep apnea with current technology. If your partner is snoring like a chainsaw or like a tractor, then you can always put a pillow over there. No, I'm kidding. You can bring this to their attention because this is going to affect the quality of their sleep and yours too. You can always leave the room, which is sadly what many times happens when patients come to my office. The office or the partner has already kicked them out of the bedroom. And if you have any sleep concerns, bring it to your doctor. Bring these concerns to your physician, because doctors are usually not trained to recognize sleep disorders. It's just part of the way the system works. I also explained this on a video recently. Physicians usually get about 2 to 3 hours of training through an entire career that lasts years, and that is very demanding. So if you find this video helpful, like and subscribe, share it with somebody that might need it. Thank you.